Hello, today I'm reviewing Wings, from 1928 or 27. It won Best Picture, or it was Most Outstanding Picture, because there was two Best Picture categories essentially in the first Oscars. The other one was Best Artistic or Stylistic Picture. It was something like that. They never did it again. By the next Oscars, they already combined the two to be Best Picture of the Year. Wings was about a man named Jack and his friend David, who are both from this small town, and Jack is basically a happy-go-lucky dude who's pretty stupid, actually. And David is like from a rich family, and he's just kind of bored with life. And then war breaks out, so they both join the army and join the Air Force and fight in battles and stuff. And while that's going on, Jack has there's like a neighbor girl who's like kind of obsessed with him, but he's like so stupid he doesn't even notice her hardly, and it's just like, ah, you're really annoying kind of thing. So it's kind of a romantic comedy among other things. I mean, it's a war movie, but it has like this feel of just being a comedy, I think, or it's like a slapstick comedy, but not fully going there like a Buster Keaton film or a Charlie Chaplin film might, which was strange, just to say the least. And I guess it's my own bias in that war films are usually very serious nowadays, but this was just like lighthearted and silly, except for the action sequences. Those were the only parts where things got serious, and the story only got good during those parts. But otherwise, it was just really kind of a drag. And the tone, like this comedic tone, like first off, it wasn't really that funny, which is always kind of a downer. If you're going to be a comedy, you better be funny. I think that's kind of the rule of comedy almost. It was just a strange film because of that. It also didn't help that we don't really ever delve into any of the characters that much. We just kind of like show these kind of amusing scenes with them, and then now there's action, and we're supposed to care about them because of that, but I don't. And it doesn't help that like everyone in the film is a total cliche. Even for the time period, it was a total cliche. So there's like no characterization, no one really grows as a character, because we never really like stick around with anyone for long enough, or if we do, we're always just jumping from one scene to the next, because it's like, now it's basic training, now it's some ball that's happening for some reason, now they're on the battlefield and fighting in jets and stuff. And because it didn't have that more serious tone that most war movies have, it kind of fails on the war movie aspect, you know, because it's almost like making fun of war because of this more comedic tone, and then just having these overblown action sequences that don't really match the rest of the tone. But saying that, the action sequences were pretty amazing, actually. Like, they were remaking all these World War I sequences, and they had actual tanks, and like when they were flying in the air, you could tell they actually had like something, or they actually had people flying in the air doing these stunts and stuff. And I kind of think that the reason this movie won Best Picture, since neither the story nor the acting did a good job, it must have been just because of how impressive it was to watch, being that they were able to make and do all these things, especially for the time period. Another problem I had was that it was 2.5 hours long, but there was so little story there, it really didn't warrant being that long. It felt like you could have edited down to at least half that, and it would have been fine. It would have been a better movie because of it, actually. I also think that it really doesn't help that every scene is basically pointless except for these action sequences. And there is like a bit at the end that is like, oh, that's important to the story, but because we never really get any character development, we never really get to delve into any of these characters outside of the most cliche scenes you can think of with the most cardboard cutout characters you can think of. The stuff that happens at the very end of the movie isn't really earned. You know, I feel nothing for these characters by the end of the movie, and they're just trying desperately to get me to feel anything, and I just really don't. So I think that is probably the biggest problem in this movie, just that everything is so cliche, the story itself is so cliche, what little story there is, and it's just the action sequences that really make this stand out, the war sequences, I mean. So yeah, I guess I'll just give it a review then, or give it a rating, I mean, and say that it was just mostly cliche and just fell right in the middle on most things. The comedy was lackluster and never funny. So I'd probably give it a 5. It's just mediocre. I'd probably subtract a point for like overusing cliches and never making me care enough about anyone. But I'd probably give that point back for just having these really amazing action sequences, especially for its time period. So yeah, the final score, 5 out of 10. Pretty mediocre overall. And way too long. But yeah, please like and subscribe and suggest movies for me to review or whatever. I'll review anything pretty much. And I'll be back tomorrow.